As a mum, I'm really shocked about the tests that have been done and the amount of arsenic that's been picked up in these products that we have every single day.
We want to remove carcinogens in our diet. It's not a very good thing to have carcinogens in our diet, and we can lower those carcinogens in our diet. We should be doing.
Arsenic naturally occurs in water, soils and some foods. Rice contains far more because it's grown in flooded soils. But a new study has found Australian rice contains the highest concentrations of the most toxic forms of arsenic, called inorganic arsenic, known to cause serious health problems.
The cat's out of the bag. Inorganic arsenic is elevated in rice throughout the world, and it's elevated in Australian rice as well. Babies are very sensitive to inorganic arsenic.
Professor Andy Merrick, a global expert on arsenic at Queen's University Belfast, says like lead and mercury, arsenic is stored in the body. He's been conducting major tests on arsenic in rice from countries around the world for almost 2 decades.
Every dose that you eat has an associated risk, so the more you eat, the higher the risks of you getting illnesses from that.
In tests conducted by Australian universities, 21 samples of 7 different Australian rice varieties were analysed for inorganic arsenic. Our brown rice, organic medium grain, came up as the world's worst at 276 parts per billion against the recommended maximum levels of 100 for children. Brown rice medium grain 178, white rice organic long grain 165, sushi 177.
That figure is very high in terms of a global context, and if I was eating that rice I'd be concerned.
The Australian Food Authority says there's no cause for concern, but the European Union is taking action. It's about to introduce new laws so that rice products can only be sold if they contain less than 200 parts per billion of arsenic for adults and only 100 for children's products.
Australian consumers can be absolutely confident in the safety of Australian rice. It meets all of the current standards.
Ruth Wade, Executive Director of the Rice Growers Association, says its own testing of Australian-grown rice is done regularly and widely to those current standards. The problem is, the new EU standards coming in next year will demand far lower arsenic levels than our existing food standards.
If the standards change, we will adjust our production system to meet those new standards. We're currently going through a major review of how we manage our rice crop, based pretty much on water availability. And there are many new technologies, there's many new management techniques.
I think it's really concerning because we as mums feed our kids and ourselves a lot of rice, and you think that it's a healthy food.
Elise Cherie, mother of 18-month-old Zara, writes a blog for health-conscious parents.
It's great that the European authorities are taking action because it obviously needs to be done. So I really think that Australia needs to follow in their footsteps to make sure that, we're taking out all of these chemicals and everyone's healthy.
Experts say the levels of arsenic vary depending on where it was grown and the particular variety. Basmati rice and jasmine rice from India and Thailand typically have the lowest levels. Brown rice has the highest because the husk contains more of it. The advice? Moderate consumption of rice should be fine. And babies?
Give your baby a more varied diet and be more careful about where you buy your rice from. I eat rice 2 or 3 times a week and I'm perfectly happy with that. I would not eat rice 2 or 3 times a day.
To mums and dads and grandparents, all Australian consumers should have absolute confidence that Australian rice is safe, as it has been for more than 50 years.